Awesome. How many of you guys want to work in crypto or are looking for a job in crypto? Fantastic. So now we have spent the entire day hearing about all the cool engineering work that is happening in the crypto ecosystem, right? So today we have like a fantastic panel of top companies from the Solana ecosystem to give you a perspective on, what it actually means to have a career in crypto and what working in crypto looks like. So we have Son from Bird Eye and Gabriele from Magic Block and Nikhil from Helios. So we'll just open with like a very brief introduction of each one of you and what your companies does. We'll go start with you, Son.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Son. I'm the technical leader in Bird Eye team. So Bird Eye is the data service and intelligent platform so that you can get the data from and support your trading platform or your wallet platform, portfolio platform to develop in Solana, EVM, and SUI and other protocols in the system blockchain. So currently, I'm leading the data service products in Bird Eye.
Gabriele?
I'm Gabriele, co-founder of MagicBlock, and at MagicBlock we are building all the tool and infra that are needed in order to build really anything on chain. We started from fully on-chain games, and now we are supporting multiple use cases, financial use cases. So we build everything that is needed through what we call ephemeral rollups, essentially just-in-time extension of your smart contracts.
GM everyone, I am Nikhil. I am a founding engineer at Helios. I've been at Helios for about 2.5 years now, and Helios is one of the RPC providers on Solana, exclusively on Solana. And my main work is just engineering across different Helios products. I work across a whole suite of Helios products.
Okay. So all three of you have worked like in Web 2 before you made your jump into Web 3. So I think it would be interesting to talk about what do you see as the primary difference between working in a traditional, Web 2 startup versus Web 3 startup? What is the fundamental difference, or is there a difference at all?
Yeah, there is a difference in terms of the speed of execution because crypto it changes so quickly on everyday basis. We have to pivot and we have to build and we have to ship, right? So in Web 2 things are pretty much well known and standardized. So you can build products which are pretty much there and you make certain small improvements. Whereas crypto, you are creating a new system of suite of products which don't exist. And even though our role is technically Web 3, we build for Web 3 using Web 2. So that's one thing. So like you have prior experience I had prior experience as distributed systems engineer, and I'm doing the same quality of work here as well. But it's just that the speed and execution, it takes a bit of time to get used to when you are in Web 3.
Gabriele, you wanna?
Yeah, I fully agree. I mean, in Web 2, you use tech stack that are pretty much established, and tech stack is that you can improve it, you can build new libraries, but you can probably not improve as much as in Web 3. In Web 3, everything is broken. Every day you can probably build a couple of things that will be used by all developers because that thing was missing. And so that's like the bad thing, that you probably have to work out your solution, but it's also the good things. You can innovate and you can be very effective and impactful.
So at Bird Eye, you guys have to, it's much more both Helios and you guys, you are much more Web 2 adjacent in the sense that a lot of the infrastructure that you build is like traditional distributed systems where your primary customers are consuming it via APIs. For example, in Bird Eye's case, it's like data pipelines, right? So has it been easier for you to get folks who traditional people who build ETL pipelines and onboard them onto your tech stack, or has it been like a different experience?
Yeah, you're asking if it's difficult to get into Bird Eye as a Web2 developer.
Yeah, so I'm asking like, are Web2 engineers like easily able to integrate with Bird Eye and also your internal systems?
Yeah, so for actually most of our engineers are from Web2, and some of them actually didn't have experience with Web3 before. And although they were like very powerful engineers and very experienced engineer in terms of distributed system and in terms of database management. So I think if you have really good skills in Web2, especially in database and distributed system, and you are the one who are eager to learn new things, then it's very easy to get into Web3. Especially in companies like Bird Eye, we always have program for training for new engineers to get into. Like we also have programs like trainings or new funds for learning trading on different platforms, so that you get used to Web3, so that it would be easier for you to learn about Web3 ecosystem, so that you can use that into building products.
Yeah, all our engineers are from Web 2. Probably only engineer who is from Web 3 is Mert, and I don't know if you can call him an engineer now. But yeah, and previously I was building cloud components for DigitalOcean, and now you are building Web 3 components for Solana, and it's almost the same, like in terms of the work which we do in building the infrastructure, monitoring, data pipeline. There's no difference with Web3 and Web2, but the challenge is the learning curve is very high and very steep for Web2 engineers, because you like when I joined, you needed to understand what are NFTs, compressed NFTs, so many companies who are all doing work on Web3. So the challenge is to understand the ecosystem and understand the companies around it rather than the tech. So the tech is somewhat easier; you can get a grasp of it, but understanding why we are building the products and who uses them and why they use them is important, because then you need to understand the problem they are facing and you need to be able to solve the problems for them. So yeah.
That brings up a very interesting point, because this is as much about building systems and engineering as much as being in tune with the culture of crypto. So I'm curious how you build this specific culture within your own orgs. So how do you get your engineers to get plugged into CT, or understand the new meta that is happening, so that they build much more, whatever products that they are building is much more in tune with the customer demand?
So every time we kind of want to launch or build a product, it's usually a well open discussion which is async. So before we dive into design and figure out what it is, we know that there is a use case for it, and we only build products where we know we already have a bunch of customers waiting. And if you see the history of products which Helios launched, all of them have been mainly successful because you had customers, and the engineering work then comes up later, and it's mostly about we have a excellent founders, because they have it's founder led marketing, right? So they know a lot of people who would use our product instantly, and they have a good sense of what needs to be built and what doesn't need to be built, because you wouldn't want to invest 3 to 6 months building something which nobody wants, right? So that is a very important assessment which they have a good sense of doing it, and that's what we have kind of learned now over the past 3 years.
Gabriele, so at Magic Blocks, you guys are like fully open source. You guys build in the open. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on, how that affects your engineering culture or even your approach towards building products.
Yeah, I think it's great. Honestly, like building in open source, it's probably the best way to get developer interested, and most likely, like we found good developers that start building with MagicBlock, or that eventually join the team through open source contribution. So I think it's great in the crypto and Solana in general. Is everyone is big on open source. The validator itself is open source, so it makes a lot of sense. And there's also like this idea that you contribute back to this ecosystem. You're also building something that is useful. And oftentimes the engineer that join us, they also have that as like one of the objectives. They want to build something that is impactful. They want to build a product that is open and is going to be used by many people. So I think in general it's just a good way, and I see very very few drawbacks in building in public and in open source.
So open source has not only been a cheat code for building great products, but also for getting great team members. So Nikhil and Son, I would love to hear your perspective on the role open source has played in your own products and also your own hiring process.
You're talking about like open source in Bird Eye. Actually, in Bird Eye, we don't do much of the open source, but we use a lot of open source programs. And when we do use open source libraries or programs or software, we often contribute back to them instead of like building open source products like Gabriele does. So like when we do open source, we can learn a lot from them and also can contribute to our own system. That the culture of open source should be expand to all of the members of the teams. So that's the idea of in Bird Eye. We use open source and we contribute back to the open source instead of like building one.
Yeah, and so in order for us to start contributing to open source and building for open source, we need to make sure that it fits our use case. And once it does, then we just go all in with contributing or hiring with respect to people. We did try to have few open source engineers from Metaplex and other companies to come and work for Helios, and we keep going back to them every once in a while, asking if they are interested in joining full time. So that's a lot of value if you are already contributed to the community, because it fast tracks you to be part of the crypto, because you have done something which everyone has used, or you have done something which is valuable for others. So it's a good way to enter crypto by just start contributing. And I wouldn't recommend contributing to different like 10 sets of projects because you find all of them interesting. Just try to be a core contributor to one or two main projects which you are passionate about, and then you can kind of understand the entire code base. It's like, I think it's an important skill now in terms of AI to be able to read code more than anything. So you should be able to read and understand a lot of code for you to start become a core contributor. And once you do that, you can easily get fast track to crypto.
Awesome. I have one last question for all of you. We have a room full of developers in the audience. So is there any hard problems that each one of you are working on that anyone in this room can propose a solution to you?
I mean, I can probably list 10, 20 problems that we have right now. Actually, one interesting thing is like we're trying to publish implementation and problem as discussion on the repository. So if anyone is interested, you can kind of go on our repo and take one of those. One of the interesting problem that we're facing now is that because in the ephemeral rollups we produce a lot of data, we process a ton of transactions. The ledger implementation is just not good enough for truncating in an efficient way while you're still processing transaction. And so that's maybe like an interesting problem. If you have some idea, you can propose and design we're about to rewrite that part. So that's probably an interesting problem.
Yeah, ours is like a problem which is like can be explained very simply. All our RPCs go through Cloudflare, which adds some amount of latency, and we want to remove Cloudflare. So across the world, get rid of Cloudflare. So how do we do it while making sure that there's absolutely no difference besides reduction of latency? So yeah, if anyone like we are working on it, it's a good networking problem which we are doing, hoping to have like maybe another 3 to 6 months, but yeah, bring down the latency to 0.
We have like 2 really hard problems. So if any of you are interested, you should find Gabriele and Nikhil and talk to them about it. Thank you. Thank you for joining us on the panel.
Thank you.
Thanks to you.